Hi everybody, Dan Illman along with Byron King taking a look at a Kentucky Oaks points prep race. That's race number 10 at Turfway Park on Saturday. It is the $100,000 Bourbonette Oaks at a mile. I quickly want to remind everybody with a DRF Bets account, sign up and get that first post bonus. Bet $25 to win on one horse in race number 1 on these Saturday prep days. Turfway, Tampa Bay, Aqueduct this week. Get a $10 bonus. Learn more at drf.com/preps. Let's meet this big and bulky field of 3-year-old fillies getting set to go the 8 furlongs in the Bourbonette Oaks. And Byron, I want to start with the horse down towards the rail. The number 1 Crafty's Dream, who earned a stakes placing last time out sprinting on dirt, has done some good things on synthetic, but after 13 starts, don't you feel she's just a little bit exposed?
Yeah, she strikes me as a cut below these. She's certainly an honest type, but she does seem like a horse that we kind of know what we're going to see from her. And what we see from her is a horse that runs a 64 buyer in her last 2 and a little bit slower than that at Turfway previously, so she's got to improve.
Never off the board from 3 lifetime starts is the Ramsey homebred, the number 2, Naughty Joker, who's a half to a grade 3 placed runner on synthetic, as well as a stakes placed dirt sprinter. So this is the synthetic debut for Naughty Joker. I'm really not concerned that much about the surface considering the pedigree, and she handled the mile in a 16th just fine on dirt last time out.
Yes, I mean, you have to respect her off a maiden win at Churchill last fall. She has not run since, but Wesley Ward and the Ramseys put a high emphasis on Turfway racing in the winter time. I'm sure this horse is going to be cranked and ready.
And that 4th place finisher from that Churchill maiden win did return to flatter the race somewhat by winning a maiden at the fairgrounds with a 63 buyer speed figure. Calumet homebred, the number 3 Birdie, goes out by, she is by Birdstone, and the dam's a half to some classy horses. The grade 2 stakes winner Coach Rocks, the multiple grade 3 stakes winner O Prado Olay. Birdie's pedigree screams distance, and this horse ran away and hid from maidens last time out. I was very impressed in the manner in which she did it, but she's going to have to take a big step up in class.
Yes, and she's returning a bit quickly. She, broke her maiden on February 22nd, and now she's wheeling back. But she is a talented, promising horse. Even in her prior start, February 1st, she made a bold middle move before flattening out. A very respectable effort from a debut horse. She's got Calumet in her corner and is trained by a prominent Calumet trainer. So I think she has a little bit of upside, but as you say, she's going to have to overcome her inexperience.
Is the number 4 New Rue dirtied up just a little bit, Byron? They cut her all the way back to 6.5 furlongs last time out in the Cincinnati Trophy, and maybe that's just not her distance right now, because 2 starts back, going 2 turns at Turfway Park, she earned a respectable enough 68 buyer speed figure.
Yes, and I think she ran last time because they didn't have a realistic choice if they wanted to try the stake. So the Cincinnati Trophy was cutting back to 6.5, and that was the prep for the Bourbonette. So I think they gave that a shot, and it clearly didn't work. But I think they would have been a lot happier if the prep had been a route race instead of 6.5 furlongs.
We talked about that 68 buyer speed figure being respectable. The number 5 Into Trouble earned a 76 buyer speed figure as a September 2-year-old over Polytrack at Arlington, and she did so after missing the break to boot. There's no doubt she's talented. She's run on dirt in her last 2 races and wasn't embarrassed last time out in the Gasparilla, but something tells me she's a synthetic horse.
And that's why they chose the spot. I mean, that's what Ben Colebrook told me is, they had time with her having won the Arlington Washington Lassie that she would take to this surface. Her 1-2 turn race was poor, but it did come in grade 1 company last year in the Alcibiades and on dirt. So I'm not sure how much we can take from that she might struggle with it. She does have a bit of a speed influence in her sire into Mischief, but he's also a sire that has proven he can get a horse to go a mile, if not a little bit further on occasion. So I think she's going to be tough.
You always have to respect Michael Maker in any of these major races at Turfway Park, and the number 6 Red Rounder has done some good things on the turf. 2 starts back in the Ginger Brew, it was a good trip until it wasn't. She saved ground in the pocket, and then there was all kinds of trouble late in the game, and she was beaten a length and a half. Last time out, while that running line doesn't look good, it seemed that the horses that did best at the fairgrounds that day were rallying widest, and Red Rounder was down towards the inside. So maybe I'm making a couple of reaches for Red Rounder, but she has done some good things, and she's certainly in the right hands.
Yes, I think you've got to respect her. I mean, obviously, Maker has managed her like he thinks quite highly of her. After she broke her maiden, he's run her in 3 straight stakes from Gulfstream to Fairgrounds, which are kind of his main, or where he keeps his better horses in the winter. Typically, Turfway is his 3rd division, though obviously when he comes up here for the stakes, he means business. So I think Red Rounder is very much a contender.
Channel Princess, the number 7, stretched out successfully, and that's no surprise considering she's by the long-winded turf champion English Channel and is a full sister to the multiple stakes-winning turf router Coco Channel. That was a good performance, and she beat Birdie that day.
Yes, she did, and I think obviously she benefited that day by Birdie being a first-time starter. She was a little more seasoned. She had a run in her, so actually of the 2, I would like Birdie a little bit more, but this horse, as you mentioned, for the reasons you just described, does hold some promise.
What do you think of Malibu Party as at a big price, perhaps trying to sneak into the bottom of exotic wagers? They turned her back in the Cincinnati Trophy, and I realize she's still just a maiden, but she was just out-sprinted in the early portion of that race, was far back, advanced towards the inside on the turn, and it looked like she was running at the end of that race. She's by hard spun. Her dam was a Grade 1 stakes winner. Maybe Malibu Party livens up your supers.
Yes, and Hard Spun himself won on synthetic.
That's right.
So, you know, you do have some promise here with this horse. Looks very versatile in terms of distance. She doesn't seem like she's a better sprinter than she is a router, so I don't see any reason why she won't transfer her form that she showed in the Cincinnati Trophy out to this race. And you have John McKee, who's one of the leading riders at Turfway, winning at over 22% clip.
Another Michael Maker trained runner is the number 9, Unapologetic Me. This one trying synthetic for the first time. I'm stunned how well Trapshot is doing with synthetic horses. It is a fairly limited sample, but this sire is winning 28% of the time with his synthetic runners, and this dam is a full sister to a Grade 1 stakes winning turf router. So Unapologetic Me might be bred to get this surface at Turfway Park on Saturday. Thought she had a good trip last time out at the fairgrounds on the turf, but again, it's Michael Maker and she's got to work out over the surface.
Yes, in fact, she's my second choice in this race. She's a horse that brings very good turf form into it. Tyler Gaffleone is named to ride. Gaffleone is riding some like at Hot Brown for Maker in the big race, the Jeff Ruby. So you would think that he would kind of get the pick of Maker's mounts on the undercard, and he lands on this one and not Maker's other horse. So I think that's a positive sign. So there's some things to like about this horse, who has shown an affinity for turf racing and probably will handle the synthetic as well.
Let's take a look at the pace for this race, because the 10 Fun Finder was the pace setter of the recent Silver Bullet Day Stakes on dirt at the fairgrounds, and our friends at Timeform US believe that she will be able to make the lead after the first half mile of the Bourbonette Oaks, although she might have to go pretty fast to do so. Another one trying synthetic for the first time, and it's too early to tell whether her sire Cross Traffic will be a synthetic sire, only 0 for 3. The dam's a half to a stakes-winning dirt sprinter named Pinkarella. Fun Finder looked good winning her maiden, the Silver Bullet Day. That wasn't a very good performance.
No, it wasn't. And previously she had broken her maiden at Gulfstream. She had gone fast early and slow late, 46 and change to the half, and then ended up going a mile in 140. So not a particularly fast winning effort. And then in the Silver Bullet Day, she was simply outrun by far better horses, running last. If memory serves me, I believe she was entered back in the Cincinnati Trophy and scratched, but she's been training steadily since at Keeneland on the all-weather training track there.
3 starts, 59 Beyer speed figure. She'll have to improve. Now, the 11 Diva Day only earned a 59 Beyer speed figure in her one and only start, but I'm willing to give her some extra credit, Byron, because she's an English Channel that won at 6 furlongs. And we don't see that too often, and she came with a pretty strong kick that day, and the third place horse came back to be a runner-up with a 61 Beyer at Turfway. Sure, it's a big ask, but another one that might be able to sneak into your single race exotics.
Yes, and as you mentioned, Byron also out of a Seattle Slew mare, so has bottom side breeding to route as well. I think quite highly of her trainer, Tom Drury. His horses consistently perform at a high level. He wins at a good clip. In fact, over 30% at the current meet here at Turfway.
Gold Credit completes the field. This is a really tough outside post, and this one is trying synthetic to boot. Golden Sense, a new sire, 0 for 8 with his synthetic runners. Horse won his debut at Keeneland. You always got to like that, especially at the demanding 7 furlong distance, but is yet to progress.
Yes, obviously run in some tough spots, however. The Goldenrod, as well as the Gasparilla at Tampa, where she was 7th in that race. Of course, Into Trouble also exited that same race and was 2nd. So I think they clearly view her as a quality filly. They haven't even tried an allowance with her, so they're keeping the faith in her. So she may be better than her recent start suggests, and she does come off a bullet work at Tampa.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Bourbonette Oaks. You like the 5 Into Trouble. I really love the way she won the Arlington, Washington Lassie in her one and only start on a synthetic surface. And 4-1, if you get that on the morning line, that is more than fair.
Yes, you know, I wish I could come up with a more creative choice in here, but when you add it all up of what she brings into the race, with the exception of established 2-turn form, she looks to be a horse that has a very strong chance of winning.
I like Birdie's debut, where she mid-moved, as you mentioned, and I loved the way she destroyed those horses last time out. I realize it is a big step up in class, but I do think she has the tactical speed to sit behind some speeds that might not have the quality to win a race like the Bourbonette Oaks. I think Birdie will give a good account of herself and maybe outrun her 8-1 morning line, but I'm going to go 3, 5, 9, and 8 in the $100,000 Bourbonette Oaks. Byron's going with the 5 Into Trouble. Remember to take advantage of that first post bonus on Saturday, whether you're playing at Turfway, Tampa Bay, or Aqueduct. Bet $25 to win on one horse in race 1 and get a $10 bonus. DRF.com/preps is where you need to go for all the details. An approximate post time for the Oaks, the Bourbonette Oaks, 5:51 Eastern. Good luck.